What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a special video for you guys. We're going to be ranking all of the One Piece booster boxes, what you should be buying right now. And I was actually planning to do this early January, but considering the jumps we've seen on a lot of boxes over the past week, I figured with everything changing, it's worth doing right now for those people hopping in, looking to build positions. We're also going to add in the first and second anniversary English sets. And then we're also going to add in the starter decks kind of as like a combination block to talk about here. So starting off, I think we're going to start with the pre-release starter decks. And I'm going to put this, oh, and by the way, before I actually rank anything, we should go through the sides here. So at the bottom, we have No Bueno Amigo. Then we have Meh, Decent, Sell the Wife, Sell the Kids, and then Get a Second Mortgage plus Sell a Kidney. That basically means go all in on this product. Obviously, guys, it should go without saying, this is just jokes. Don't sell your kidney. Don't sell your kids, your wife. Don't get a second mortgage. Stay within your means. But this is kind of how I would rank a lot of the booster boxes right now, just based off of current prices. So to start off, we will go with the pre-release starter kits. I'm going to put this in decent. And the reason for this is because I'm just not a huge fan of anything where a lot of the value inside of it is tied to a promo card. Promo cards go through seasons. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. We've seen it a lot with the Pokemon Center ETBs over in the Pokemon Sphere over the past 12 months. They've been the best performing sealed products. They've beaten all of the booster boxes. So buying a Obsidian Flames PCTB, Paldea Evolved, 151, obviously, that was great, and those promo cards have done very well. Similar with these pre-release starter decks, they have amazing cards in there, especially the Luffy one. And again, if you guys are building very large positions in One Piece, $100,000, maybe even larger than that, sure, buy a few of these, get some exposure, but for someone only looking to spend $1,000, $2,000 on One Piece, probably not worth putting 30, 40, 50% of your portfolio into these. Now, the next up that we have here is the second anniversary English set. We'll talk about the first anniversary after this. I think I'm going to put this in decent as well, and let's put it in front of the starter decks just because I think the promo cards are more cool. I definitely undervalued these this year. They've done very well, and I probably should have seen this coming, honestly, because the promo cards inside, because the products were so cheap 6 months ago. If we come in here and look, you can see you could have been buying this around $250, $260 just 90 days ago. But now the second anniversary set, recent sales, we're sitting around $700. And similar to the pre-release starter decks, it's the same thing. It's all based on the promo cards inside. And hey, those could continue to run. But just like how I don't recommend buying a lot of mangas and SPs right now, I think a lot of promo cards have had solid returns. I just don't know how much more they can go up. I think there's probably going to be better places to put your money long term. But again, if you're planning to build a very large position in One Piece, it might be worth getting some exposure to these for the long run. So the same thing I think is going to go with the first anniversary set. I'll put it in front of the second anniversary set. I think the cards are just a little bit cooler, and obviously being the first anniversary set, it probably carries a little bit more weight. And if you guys are curious, this is the second best performing sealed One Piece product that I could find on TCG Player over the past 12 months. The best being Romance Dawn white bottom booster boxes, up around 432% over the past 365 days. But I think this is a decent product. It's getting expensive though. Recent sales for like $900, $1,000. If you're building a massive position, $100,000 or more than that, putting 1%, 2% of your portfolio into something like this, probably not going to be a terrible idea long term. But for most people, they're probably not going to want to buy up a ton of these. And I should mention too, before we go any further in the video, I probably should have said this up front. When I'm doing this ranking, I'm factoring in a lot of things. So for example, I'm taking a look at current market price. I'm taking a look at the potential long-term value of some of those cards, but I am also factoring in risk. So for example, could reprints come and tank the price in the short term? Could buying a box at $700 not be the best idea when there's something maybe at like $200, $250 that has the same amount of value in a lot of the top cards. So I'm ranking it on a bunch of different things, and that's why you're never going to get a perfect list. People are always going to disagree with what I say, but I will try my best to walk through everything as we go. So with those out of the way, we'll get into the main set, starting off with Romance Dawn blue bottom booster boxes. Before I rank this, I do just want to point out these have done great over the past 12 months. We're up around 275% on TCG Player. Recent sales, you're at 4.5K. This is based on 3.7K market. So realistically, I think that this is over 300% as well. If we just do a quick check here, yeah, sub $1,000 back December last year. So clearly doing great if you bought these. I think that the blue bottoms, even close to $5,000, if you're building a large position, probably worth getting one. I know people don't like a lot of the cards in Romance Dawn. Sure, there are way better sets that you can invest into. The Shanks is still decent though. I mean, as a top hit, it's what, like 3,000, 3,500 a PSA 10 right now. Blue bottoms, you do have the chance as well of having the pre-errata Luffy in there, the pre-errata Nami, the Zoro, the Trafalgar Law. So there are some special cards you can pull out of those blue bottoms. And I think scarcity is going to play a role in how well this box does, and also the fact that it's just the first release from Bandai in the One Piece TCG. I'm currently going to put this in Sell to Kids. I think it might be towards the back, or we might even drop it down towards the end of the video. I imagine I'm probably going to move some things around, so that's probably not set in stone, but I do still rank blue bottom boxes fairly highly. Now after that, we are going to check on the white bottom booster boxes, which you guys can see has been the best performing sealed product over the past 12 months. I'm still a huge fan of the Romance Dawn white bottom booster boxes. Considering the Shanks, 3 to 3.5K in a PSA 10, I wouldn't be surprised if these boxes are eventually 2.5, 3,000, maybe even $4,000 as well. I'm actually going to put these in front of the blue bottoms still. I think this is a decent spot for them. And again, I don't know if it's going to be towards the front of this tier by the end of the video. Might be dropping a little bit down because I think there are better opportunities coming up. But for now, we'll leave it like that. Moving on, we have Paramount War. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of this set. I think there's some pretty cool cards in here if we bring it up. I like the Whitebeard card. I like the Ace manga. I think it's great. Some of these other alt leaders and alternate art cards I think are great as well. The Nami. You can really see how Bandai has evolved over the past couple years, moving from these types of artworks to what we see in like OP12, OP13 at this point. So I think there are some decent cards in here. I think there's still a decent amount of sealed product out there. Even though there aren't a ton of solid chases in this set, I still don't think it's the worst set Bandai has put out. And also, it's getting pretty old. It's going out of rotation. I'm going to put it in meh for now, and we still might move some things around. I just don't think it is a great place to put your money. Currently, I know next up, Pillars of Strength is around $345 on TCG Player. We've talked about this box multiple times. There's not a ton of it out there, but also not a ton of it moves. Not really any desirable cards in this set. The top chase is a Sniper King manga. So, Usopp, we love Usopp. He's kind of funny, but he's just not the type of character that's going to draw a lot of heat and be a, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 card. And outside of that, sure, you have a Nami in here. You have a Luffy wanted poster. This was the first set too that had wanted posters in there, which is something you do have to point out, but it's still not a great set. I would definitely not be making a very large play into it, especially at around $350, $400 a box. I'm going to put this in meh behind Paramount War. I think Paramount War is a better play currently. Now next up, Kingdoms of Intrigue. This is sitting around $240, so fairly close to what Paramount War is doing right now. When we come in here and look at these cards, Sabo up top, not a great manga either, not super expensive. The Boa Hancock SP has done great this year. It's moved from, I think, like $150 all the way up to like $450. It might even be pushing 500 plus at this point. You have a Whitebeard in here, a Trafalgar Law. You have a Vivi as well. A lot of these SPs, I think I really undervalued over the past, say, like 6 months. I really didn't give Kingdoms of Intrigue a fair shake. I still think it's a really bad set. Like, I'm not going to say it's A tier or B tier or anything, but it is better than what I thought it was. I'm actually going to put it in meh as well for now, but I'm going to put it in front of Pillars of Strength. I think for the longest time, I probably would have flip-flopped these. And I understand that people would probably put these a lot higher just because they are going out of rotation. So maybe they'll pump up in price. Again, we don't really know what's going to happen once sets go out of rotation. So I think just assuming we're going to see something like Pokemon is maybe a little bit irrational. It's probably not the best line of thinking, not the worst line ever though. But if you are kind of going about it that way, you may as well just buy Romance Dawn, because compared to every other set in the initial block of One Piece, Romance Dawn takes the cake. It's not even close. Sure, the boxes are way more expensive. You could buy like, I don't know, 4 or 5 Paramount War boxes for the price of one Romance Dawn White Bottom booster box, but I still think I would rather own the Romance Dawn boxes than have all of those Paramount War Kingdoms of Intrigue boxes. So moving on, we will look at Awakening the New Era. You guys know, I've thought that this was a great set since I got into the One Piece game. When you come in here and look at a lot of these cards, Monkey D. Luffy, Gear 5 manga, top hit, amazing chase. It kind of is going to be one of those timeless cards in the TCG. We also have the Ichirota stamped Luffy alternate art card, which I think is amazing. It adds so much value to the set. And then over the past, say, 3 to 4 months, we've had the rise of the other mangas like the Trafalgar Law. The Captain manga, or the Kid manga, is really not doing that great, all things considered, but it's still a card that has $400 or $500 worth of value. The Nami SP has come up a lot in price, the Yamato as well. Uta, same deal. After EBO3 was announced, we've really seen those cards take off. Outside that, I think you have some decent SPs and alternate arts. The Enel, the Kaido, the Gear 5 Luffy alternate art card. So I'm super bullish on Awakening the New Era. Probably a little bit less bullish now that the box is $540 USD. I still think there's a chance that Bandai goes back and reprints it. I know people say they have other priorities, but I also think that Bandai is a very TCG focused game. They're for the players, and I don't know how they feel about having a box that's going to be in rotation for another, like, what, year and a half at this point, being $550. I don't know if there's a ton of playable cards in OPO5, so I don't think it's super high on their priority just to get those cards down in price, but it's interesting to see what they would have to say about boxes gaining this much value in a short period of time. So even though there's a chance reprints happen, I think if that is the case, you just dollar cost average, you should absolutely have exposure to this. I can totally see this box being $1,000, $1,500 in the future. We're putting it in front of the Romance Dawn boxes in the Sell the Kids tier. I think it's an absolute no-brainer. So go ahead, do yourself a favor, get some Awakening of the New Era, even at current prices. Next up, we have Wings of the Captain, and this is the set powered by the Zoro manga, but also the Miss All Sunday has come up a lot over the past couple months. We have a Rebecca SP in there as well, sitting around $130. Nami Treasure Rare, Zoro Alt Art. I love this Buggy SP. So you have some decent cards in here. Not the best set in One Piece. I think it's somewhere probably middle of the pack at this point. And for all those reasons, I am going to put it in the top of decent tier. And the reason for this is when I look at this box around $180, would I rather have 5 Wings of the Captain booster boxes or 1 first anniversary set? I think in that comparison, I'd rather have the Wings of the Captain booster boxes, and that's why I am going to put it in front of all of those in decent tier. Now, before we go any further, I did just want to jump in here and say, if you guys are enjoying the video, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps out a ton. Also, if you're interested in taking TCG investing more seriously, I do have my market spreadsheet at the top of every video description. You can use the code ONEPIECE for 30% off. And then also, if you need more help buying, selling, or holding product, I have links to my consultation calls if you guys need that one-on-one work. So moving on, we're going to be jumping into the Memorial Collection here, EBO1. This box is really surprising me, guys. I did not expect this box to be growing at the rate it currently is. Obviously, I was a fan of this just because the scarcity aspect. You had a couple decent cards in here. The Chopper manga It is fairly rare. You had some playable cards, which a lot of them have been reprinted in PRB 02. This is really a scarcity play in my mind, and maybe a play on the fact that it's a pink box. It probably looks interesting as a collection piece being displayed. That's really where I think most of the value is. You can see here, recent sales, almost $700 USD from today. It's kind of crazy that this box is selling for about the same price as a PRB01 booster box that has a God pack that's worth like $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 USD. If you're building a very large position in One Piece, I would absolutely recommend getting a little bit of exposure to EB01. You don't have to go out and buy a case for like $8,000, $9,000 at this point, but you could buy a box or two. If you're building a smaller position, only a couple $1,000s, probably not going to be worth it for you to put that much money into EB01. And for all those reasons, I don't think I can put it super high on the list, but I will put it in decent tier, and I'll put it in front of the anniversary sets as well. I think that's a decent place for it. And again, maybe we'll come back and move some things around towards the end of the video. After that though, we have OP07, 500 years in the future. I have so many tabs open here, it's very difficult to find these boxes, but I'm doing a decent job, I think, in this video, surprisingly. Up to $165 on TCG Player, recent sales, fairly close to $200. This is insane to me, guys, okay? There is no way that OP07 should be selling for as much, if not more, than Wings of the Captain, and even OP11 at this point. I think it's selling for more. So someone's pumped this on TCG Player with a lot of the other sets. I know people like the Onami. The Onami is great. It's probably the best or one of the best SPs that Bandai has released. You have the Treasure Rare Law in there. You have the Boa Hancock manga, which I think is great as well. You have some other decent SPs and parallel cards like the Boa Hancock, the Doflamingo, the Jewelry Bonnie. But when you look at the value, you look at the chase, outside of maybe two top hits that have a combined value of like $1,500 at this point, maybe, there really is nothing crazy and desirable that I would want to get out of this. And for the longest time, there was a ton of boxes on the market. I know with the TCG Player sale, that's kind of changed. eBay, there's still a decent amount out there. I still think that it's not a great place to put your money. I understand if people want to get a little bit of exposure. I know some people talk about EB03 coming up and maybe the cards having another bump. I feel like a lot of the value that those cards have currently already is like the EB03 speculation caked in, because we've seen them jump like 100% plus over the past couple months after EB03 was released. I'm going to put this in meh, and I'm actually going to put it behind, I think, everything. Maybe we put it in front of Pillars of Strength, because I feel like I would rather have 2 boxes of OP07 than 1 box of Pillars of Strength. So it's going to be somewhere towards the bottom. I don't think it's a great set, even though it's gone up a lot over the past week. Just look at the numbers, guys. Over the past year, you're up 63%. You could have been investing in any other set that was halfway decent and just absolutely crushed those returns in OP07. So not a great place to put your money. Don't recommend it at all. You know, after OP07, we have OP08, 2 Legends. You guys know exactly where this is going. It's going in S tier, baby. The best set ever. No, we can't do it, guys, honestly. Garbage set, S tier, no way. This is the bottom of trash tier. No bueno, amigo. Stay away from this box. Do not buy any of this. I know some people, they want to diversify in every set. If that's really you, fine. Go ahead, buy a little bit of 2 Legends just to appease your OCD. But for the vast majority of people, this is not a box I would be buying. Sure, it's cheap. So if you only have like $150 to spend, maybe you just buy a box of this. But honestly, you're probably just better off buying OP012 or OP12, because at least that set has some decent cards inside of it. When we look at 2 Legends, top hit, Silver's Rayleigh manga, it's around $412. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we have a conversation in a year and the Portgas D-Ace SP is higher than the Rayleigh. That really would not surprise me. Maybe even the Jewelry Bonnie manga, the Treasure Rare Luffy, like maybe one of those cards actually has the legs to overtake the Rayleigh manga. It's unfortunate. Rayleigh's an awesome character. in the manga and anime, but just not a super desirable, popular card. And it's unfortunate because if you don't have the value in those top hits, people aren't going to want to open the boxes in the future. So even though it's probably got one of the best SP profiles, I guess you could say, in all of the One Piece TCG, not having a solid top hit just means it's not a great investment. There's also a ton of boxes on the market, so I think it's honestly going to be dead money for a really long period of time, and there's just no good reason that you can argue to buy two Legends. So for that reason, bottom of the barrel, it's probably going to end up being the worst one on this list. Next up, not a bad set, we have PRB01, if I can bring up this booster box. This has gone on an absolute tear this year, up 315%. Even over the past week, we've gone from like $500 up to around $700. And recent sales actually from today, $750, three of the past four sales, with that fourth sale being at $741. So basically 3/4 of the way to $1,000. It's fairly close right now between PRBO1 and EBO1 for which box is going to be the next to $1,000. I still think it's crazy that those are close. I imagine it will be PRBO1. It should be PRBO1 in my mind. And I know it's really easy for me to say that you should go out and buy PRBO1 because I already have PRBO1 that I bought at like 250 US back in May of this year. But even at $350, $450, I was still telling people to buy this box. And you guys have to remember that this is the only set that Bandai has put out that has a manga god pack, okay? You can literally pull like, what, 10 mangas out of a pack, $8,000 worth of value. I think when you do the grading, if they all get PSA 10s, we're talking like $16,000, $18,000 USD at this point. You also have all the gold dons in there as well. And you have some amazing alternate art cards that are worth money also. So the Shirahoshi, I know this is playable, but that's up there. The Boa Hancock is an $88 card now as well. This is still clearly a buy in my books if you're building a decently large position in One Piece. If you're only putting $1,000, $2,000 into One Piece, it might not be worth it anymore for you to pick up this box. But if you're building a $5,000, $10,000 position, $100,000, obviously I would recommend Case Quantity. This is still going to be an A tier in my opinion. And I don't know exactly where I want to put this right now. I'm going to put it at the back of this kind of A tier, sell the kids tier. We might move things around though as the video goes on. And after that, we do have OP09 Emperors in the New World. This is a great set, guys. We've seen it run up to around $300 on TCG Player this week. There are still a decent amount of boxes on the secondary market, but it's moving at a decent pace. This is a set that has very solid chase cards, 5 mangas again. So when the set released at the time, nothing even came remotely close to that. OPO5 had 3 mangas. This had 5 mangas. You also had some really solid SPs. The Nami SP, which is now up to like over $600 USD. The Boa Hancock SP, same deal. The wanted posters, so the Luffy, the Zoro Juro's up to $450. So with all of these cards moving up in price, it's just making OP09 deeper. And it is still one of the deepest sets in One Piece. And also, it's fairly cheap compared to anything up here in the Sell the Kids tier. So I think for all of those reasons, I'm actually going to put it at the front of Sell the Kids tier right now. I think I would rather have 2 boxes of OP09 at this point compared to 1 box of OP05. And then it's kind of like the same deal going down. I think I would rather have 2 boxes of OP05 compared to 1 box of Romance Dawn, even though that's very close. Like you could make the case to put the white bottom in front of OP05 like this. I think that would be fine as well, but I'm going to leave it like this for now. And honestly, guys, towards the end of the video, however this plays out, just know that any setup here is probably worth investing in. So people are going to comment, they're going to say I'm crazy with this ranking, but hey, to each their own. Now, moving on, getting into Royal Blood, OP10. I love the SPs in this set. I think they're great. The Edward Newgate SP is one of my favorite cards that Bandai has released. I love the artwork. I think the Sanji SP is beautiful. The Uso Hachi is cool. The Portuguese Diaz Treasure Rare, also interesting. I think that the Charlotte Pudding SP is undervalued, in my opinion, around $30, $35. That should probably go up in price. Also pulled the Trafalgar Law manga. That was the first manga I ever pulled. I graded a 10 through PSA. So there's something special about OP10 to me, but still, it's not a great set. I think I'm going to put it in meh, and I'm probably going to put it in front of a couple sets here. Let's put it right here, actually. I think I would rather have OP07 in my portfolio just because the manga card's better, the SPs are worth more desirable, but I would rather have 3 boxes of Royal Blood than 1 box of Pillars of Strength. That is just me. They're all fairly garbage sets, so I'm not going to take a ton of time trying to justify my rationale, but just know, don't buy them, okay? They're going to be down there. Do not pay attention to those sets. Extra Booster, Anime 25th Collection, EBO2. This is a set you should be paying attention to. You guys know I like the extra boosters because Bandai hasn't done extra print runs for these extra boosters and premium boosters. Also, when you look at the set, you have the Monkey D. Luffy Gear 2 manga up top. Iconic pose, fairly expensive card at this point. It says $12.70 approximately, but realistically, this is selling for like $2,000 raw. You also have the Boa Hancock SP, $450. I think in a 10, that's going for like $1,600 to $2,000. It's very low pop. You have the Luffy alt art, which I think is great. You have a bunch of other SPs in here. And the one that I want to point out is the Vegapunk SP. If you guys are new here and don't know, this card, even though Vegapunk isn't a popular character, it's actually an error card. Bandai came out and they issued a correction to the text on it. So for that reason, that card is fairly expensive. And for all of those reasons in total, I'm going to put this fairly high on the list. I'm going to put it in sell the wife tier. I think this is great. You could probably make an argument to put it higher as well, but for now, we'll leave it there and maybe we'll move some things around towards the end of the video. Next up, OP12, Legacy of the Master, if I can find this. Pretty decent set at this point, considering it's only like $100. And when you come in here and look, you have 3 solid chase cards, the Jewelry Bonnie manga, around $600. I think it's selling closer to $700 right now. And then the Blackbeard gold and silver card selling for about $600 and then $1,000 for the gold. Some decent SPs. The Zorojuro, the Ace, I think is awesome. That's actually moved up a lot as well. I think when we talked about this last, it was like $80. It's now up to $120 USD. Demon Aura 9 Sword Style, Asura Blades Drawn, Dead Man's Game. That's a beautiful manga event card. $112 there. The Zoro alt. So it's got a lot going for it, and it's a very cheap box. I still don't think it's the best investment. You don't have a crazy chase in there. You don't have a Luffy. You don't have a Zoro manga. You don't have a Shanks manga. So I don't think I can put it super high on the list, but this might surprise a lot of people. I'm actually going to put it here right behind EBO2, and a lot of that reasoning has to do with the fact that you can still find this box for like $90. I think just based on the current market price, based on where like OPO6 is as well, around $200, OPO7 being $200, it is clear as day that this will be a $200, $250 box in the future. If you're buying it at like $90, $100, sure, you might have to wait a couple years for a lot of the boxes to be opened, but the value is there. The value will be there in the future, and it's a fairly safe bet even if a reprint comes. So I'm actually quite bullish on OP12. Same sort of deal actually with PRBO2. I think that this is a fairly solid investment. And honestly, this might be the most underrated set on the market currently, sitting around $190. Recent sales, you're closer to $200. But when you come in here and look at the value inside of it, Sanji manga up top, $1,300 to $1,500 currently. Gum Gum Giant, $375. You have the Charlotte Pudding around a couple $100. I believe that's fairly playable right now. Some of the Gold Dawns still have value, like the Nami, the Yamato. The Robins actually come up a lot, surprisingly. The Shanks, I think originally, right when the set released, the Shanks was the most expensive or second most expensive, right behind the Nami. That one's fallen off a little bit. The Boa Hancock is great. The manga event rares in the set, like the Cross Guild. I love this card, by the way. I think it's so awesome with Buggy on there. The Shanks SP has come up a lot. Come on, we'll fight you. I mean, there's just so many good cards in here. Also, again, it's a premium booster, so we're likely not going to see another print wave of this set. I think for all those reasons, I'm going to put it fairly high on the list, and I'm actually going to put it in front of OP12. I think I would rather have 1 box of PRBO2 right now compared to 2 boxes of OP12. That is just my opinion. But again, I think a comparison like that, it is fairly close. So you could go either way with it. And also, we're going to have to go back here because I realized at this point, we've skipped over OP11, A Fist of Divine Speed. You guys know, if you've been watching a while, I think that this is also a fairly decent set. I bought another case when this was around, I believe like 130 USD after like the conversion up here in Canada. I bought from HPW Games. The gold Luffy, that's like $3,000 USD. The silver SP, we're talking 1,500 USD. The Gear Force Snake Man Luffy, we're getting close to $1,000 USD. There's a ton of value in this set, and even outside those top 3 cards, you have a decent SP profile. I don't like a lot of the artworks. I know people enjoy the texture, whatever. I just think they're a little bit boring. I much prefer the style from something like Royal Blood, but still, they carry a decent amount of value. You have the Gear 2 alternate art in here as well, doing wonders. So based on current market price, I think that this is actually a fairly decent buy. I'm going to put it currently at the front of the Sell the Wife tier in front of EBO2. I think you're probably better off getting 2 boxes of OP11 compared to 1 box of EBO2. That's just kind of how I'm thinking about it in my head. I definitely think it's a better buy than PRBO2, even though, PRBO2 being that premium booster, having a potential short print, maybe that's worth it in the short term, but long term, I think OP11 will shine. And then the final set that's been released so far in English, OP13. This shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. This is going in S tier. Get a second mortgage, sell a kidney, sell the kids, sell the wife. Honestly, just sell everything in your house tomorrow. Have a garage sale, sell your pants, sell your shirt, sell your dog, whatever you got to do. Get the money, start to put some into OP13. Now, honestly, guys, I know there's going to be a lot of people who think that I'm just trying to pump OP13, and I'm actually quite conservative about my position on OP13. This is an amazing set, don't get me wrong. It is by far the best set that Bandai has ever released to date. When you just look at the value in the top 10 cards, I mean, the Luffy alone, the red manga Luffy, sitting around $8,500, $9,000 USD, whatever you want to call it. That's more than the top 10 value of basically every other set that Bandai has released before that. So you consider that card, the Sabo red manga, you can see here $3,500. The Ace TCG player still doesn't have it up, but that's going to be a $3,500, $4,000 card as well. The regular Luffy, we're talking $1,500. The Gold Shanks, we're still over $1,000. The Ace, maybe $900. The Silver Shanks, $700. And then even outside the top 6 cards, we're still talking $700, $600 cards. You have the Demon God pack in there, all of the wanted posters, some amazing SPs like the Luffy, like the Ace. You have those alternate arts like the Divine Departure. Even the alt leaders are playable like the Ace, like the Emu. Everything that you would want going for a set is going in OP13. You should absolutely have exposure to this. That said, you need to have money set aside to dollar cost average into OP13. I kind of equate this to like Prismatic Evolutions in Pokemon, which came out in January of 2025. At the time that set released, the value that you could get out of a pack of Prismatic was unreal because it had the God pack with all the evolutions, and it's basically the same thing with OP13. There's just so much value that you can pull out of a pack, and everybody wanted Prismatic. Everybody wants OP13. Now, what did Pokemon do to Prismatic? It's absolutely printed it into the ground over the past 12 months. It's everywhere. And even still, it's very expensive. But at the same time, it went up a lot in price. And then after the reprints, we've seen the ETBs, the PCTBs, the booster bundles, everything's come back down. So it's very possible that we have a conversation in December 2026, early 2027, and OP13 booster boxes are the same price they are now. We could also be having a conversation though, and these could be like $400. But if Bandai does decide to increase their print runs, it's going to be based on something like OP13. They wouldn't do it for OP12. They probably wouldn't even do it for OP11, but the hype is here now in One Piece. People are coming in every single day, whether that's from the sports card hobby, from Pokemon, from outside even just the TCG world, investors, collectors alike. Everybody wants a piece of the action. And if that's the case, Bandai is going to have to make a decision whether they want this box to run up to like $400 or $500 6 months after release, or what they're going to do is either try and increase the print run, bring that price back down to around $150, $100, make it accessible for people. And I don't know the answer. I really don't know what they're going to do. It's a player-centric game. Everybody knows that. And even though you should be building OP13 into probably your largest position, you do need to have money on the sidelines in the event those reprints come. Because if you buy right now, you put all your money in at around $200, $225, what are you going to do when boxes come back down to $150 after a reprint? If that happens, right? You would be sitting on your boxes, which is great, but you might not see any gains for the next 12 months or longer. So that is a possibility. That's why you always want to have money on the sidelines. But clearly, it is the best set ever released by far. It's not even contentious. So build a position in OP13. Now, that's everything released. I do want to go over OP14 and then also EBO3. Those are going to be releasing in the first couple months of 2026. I believe OP14 comes out January 16th or 15th or something like that. And then I believe EBO3 is the end of February, like the 26th or something. So by March, both of these sets will be out in English. I'm not a huge fan of OP14. I guess we can start with this. Hawkeye Mihawk manga card. I will say I love Mihawk. I think he's a cool character, but it's not going to be one of the most expensive manga cards. That's just the reality. The Buggy Gold and Silver SPs. I love Buggy, but those will not be super expensive cards either. And they probably will still be close to like $1,000 at release, at least the Gold Buggy, maybe the Mihawk manga. But as time goes on, those will come down in price. And just compared to the other SPs, like the Luffy SP, the Blackbeard SP, the Shanks SPs, it's just not going to be the most expensive one. You have a couple Boa Hancock cards in here, the SP, you also have the manga event rare, so that's cool, I guess. Maybe if this is like an OP12 situation, if I can go back to OP12, I can find the tab here. If you can pick this box up around like $90, $80 after release, there's probably going to be a decent amount of boxes out there. Stores are going to be dumping them. Sure, if you want to pick up a case for like $1,000 at that point, doesn't seem like a terrible long-term hold in my mind, but I also don't think that this is going to be anywhere near the top echelon of One Piece. So for all of those reasons, I'm going to put it, let's say, I don't know, back of decent tier, because it really is dependent on where it releases, right? What's going to be the price point a month after it comes out in English? If you can buy it around $80, I would probably put it like all the way up here, right behind OP12. But if it comes out like $120, it's probably going to stay in this range. So that's why I'm not really giving it a super official ranking, but just know based on the price of release that that will move essentially. Hopefully that makes sense. And then finally, EBO3. This can be a very long video, guys. So if you make it this far in the video, I 100% appreciate you guys being here. EBO3, kind of same deal in my opinion. I think this set is overrated. It's overhyped. It's absolutely the Gooner set. So people, they're just not actually thinking properly about what's inside of this. People love the waifus. I think a lot of these cards are beautiful. They will be expensive, especially the Boa Hancock, the Nami, the Nico Robin, the Uta manga. Sure, maybe that cracks $1,000. It's probably going to be a little bit more expensive than the Jewelry Bonnie. I just have that feeling, especially based on the sales in Japanese. But is this ever going to be a top tier set, even as an extra booster? No, I don't think so. You're just not going to have that $2,000, $3,000 card that's going to propel this forward. Sure, it's an extra booster. Maybe it has a limited print run and that plays into the price of it long term. I would put it somewhere, maybe at the front of decent. Maybe you want to put it a little bit higher, like the back of the Sell the Wife tier. I think that's fine as well. I don't think you can put it much higher than this. And I also think a set like EBO3, just because there's a ton of hype behind it, it's probably going to be fairly expensive to get at release. Maybe somewhere between like, let's say $175, $185. Maybe we see this box even get up to $200, because when EBO2 came out earlier this year, this was about $175 on TCG Player. Sure, you could find it cheaper than that, whether that was online or in person, but just compared to EBO2, it's going to come out in a period where there's a ton of hype around One Piece. People are just going to be trying to buy up everything they possibly can. And I just don't think it's as good of a set as EBO2. So if that box was sitting around $175 in a normal market, we'd probably see EBO3 be like 150-ish, I think. But just based on the market we're going to be in, I could definitely see it being around $200 USD on TCG Player a month after release. So I think that's going to be my list. I'm also trying to contemplate if I want to move anything. OP11, I'm sure some people would have this higher. I just don't think you can put it much higher right now. I know some people would also probably move the Romance Dawn boxes down. Maybe they'd move PRBL 1 down, but I still think long term, the best sets, they tend to outperform. I'm not going to say always, but they tend to outperform. And that extra, let's say 10 to 20% annualized ROI that you get every single year from those top sets compared to a bottom tier or a mid tier set, that adds up over 5 to 10 years. So you have to consider that. But I am curious to hear from you guys what you would move up on the list, what you would move down. So feel free to leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, you made it this far, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Also, again, if you are shopping eBay TCG Player Hobbiesville, affiliate links down below in the description as always. Market spreadsheet at the top and the consult will always be there. I don't have channel sponsors. If you guys do want to sponsor the channel, definitely feel free to reach out through email. But for now, I will just promote my own stuff, and I appreciate you guys working with me, supporting the channel. It genuinely means a lot. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.